Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark right here on Lock 22. Folks, we got a lot of wrestling to talk about, but let me get this out of the way first. Go check out the show right here on Lock 22 because I'm on that show. We talk about baseball over there. It's fun. Um, Russ, we just watched Raw. It was
Yes.
a very good show until about the last 5 minutes, and then they fucked it all up, as WWE has gotten very
I
good at
wasn't
doing.
wild about the ending either.
But last week, let's recap a couple things from last week first. This is the last Raw that we will have during the day for a few months.
Right. Until sometime in August, I think.
Me and Russ will likely do another one of these post show style things, the Raw before WrestleMania, as well as potentially the Raw after.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's going to be a long week. That's all I know. Uh, and Russ, last week, of course, we had Dynamite in Minnesota. The crowd was fairly solid for that show. It actually looked like they filled that building up pretty good.
Yes. And I got a chance to first time I had heard of Blake Christian, but had never had a chance to see him wrestle.
Yeah,
He's very good.
Blake Christian and Kenny Omega had a very good match. The crowd was really into the Swerve Moxley segment.
Yes. Very much.
So the crowd was kind of into everything, I'll be honest. And it was overall a pretty good show. You know, could have been better. But overall, I would say Dynamite last week was fairly solid. Some other notable things to come out of that show. The women did main event this show. That is worth noting.
Yes, they did.
Um,
We
it
had a
was
new tag team of sorts, didn't we? Well, no,
it
no, no.
was
That was sorry, that was Collision.
it was Megan Bain and Penelope Ford against Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Tits, as Tony Storm liked to call them.
Yes. Well, Megan Bain and Penelope win this, and Megan pinned Tony Storm clean in the middle of the ring.
Yep.
I dropped my jaw through the floor. I couldn't
Yep.
believe it. I
I was a little surprised too.
like Megan Bain's good. It's cool she's getting a match at Dynasty, but anyway, the only really notable thing that came out of SmackDown last week was really the contract signing for the triple threat match that will main event WrestleMania at night one, which
I
is
enjoyed that. I
which was
enjoyed
Roman
every
Reigns,
part of that. That was well done.
Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. These
Yes.
three guys don't like each other, but man, you wouldn't know it with how they. Well, you wouldn't know that they even. I think Seth and Roman might be friends, kind of behind the scenes. You wouldn't know it watching this show. They they sell this thing like it's $1 million.
They're
I
really
mean,
selling it very, very well. And I think it's interesting too that they're using the history of the Shield as an element in the storyline, but they have to be very, very careful not to mention Dean Ambrose. I
yeah,
mean, he's very, very conspicuously absent from their recollections and from the clips that they play.
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's understandable. I mean, that's nothing new. That's similar to how things were under Vince McMahon too.
Well, we did have Raw this afternoon, live from London, as SmackDown was from London on Friday.
Yes,
This
yes. The
show
Liveys are
started.
getting a really good wrestling weekend there.
This show started the same way every Raw on this European tour has started, and that is with John Cena's music.
Right.
And he comes out, and it looks like we're going to get the same song and dance we've gotten for the last 2 weeks. Before John even so much as opens his mouth, Cody Rhodes comes out, and Cody cuts this promo
Oh yeah.
that This is the best thing they've done in this program so far.
Oh yeah. And
Where
that
he's
suit,
like,
that pinstripe suit, my God, that must have been a $5,000 suit,
at least.
at least. But he sure did look sharp.
And so Cena was getting a mixture of John Cena sucks and let's go Cena.
Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Yeah.
Russ, I need to ask you, do you at this point think Cena is winning at WrestleMania? Because I do not.
No, I don't think he will win.
I think he
That's my
should.
that's my prediction is that he will not win, but it's hard. You never know. About half the
I think
time when I predict these outcomes, I'm wrong. So
I think Cena should win, but I don't
then
think he will.
finish out his year as champion, and then drop it at the end, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's like a race to the end of the year to somebody trying to beat him. And maybe that's how they put the belt on Punk. I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised.
Well,
Um,
also, the one thing that was fun about the promo is that they're talking about things that you didn't expect them to. I never expected Cody Rhodes to talk about the Stardust gimmick,
or the
but
fact that he got booed in a company he created.
no, he sure did. I remember that. That was interesting too, because that was like a reverse heel turn. It's not the wrestler that turned on the crowd, it's the crowd that turned on the wrestler. That was very
and
fascinating.
and he was still kind of a heel in AEW. People
Yeah.
acted like he never turned heel. He kind of did,
He
but
was kind of a more of a just kind of a smart ass, you know?
yeah, kind of a
I
prick.
I I thought he did good, but I think that it's interesting how in the storyline they've acknowledged what he did and how he left the company and helped found another company, changed the face of the wrestling business. They actually they do sometimes they talk quite a bit about AEW without mentioning them by name, but they refer to them.
They're smart about how they do it.
I think you're right. I think they are. And that's
Anyway,
because they're the bigger company. I mean, if I was the small dog in the fight and I was the small company, I'd be mentioning WWE all the time and comparing myself favorably to them. But when you're on
yeah,
top, you might as well just not mention anything.
you might as well ignore everybody.
Right.
Um, I don't know what they were thinking, but the next match should have really been later in the show. Next, we had the New Day versus the New Catch Republic. This should have been like an hour later. This was really good, but it should have been later in the show.
Right. And Tyler Banks has been out with an injury. It's good to see him back. I think they're a good team. It made sense for them to wrestle where they did, the hometown crowd, but like you said, the timing was a little off.
They should have just done this an hour later. Anyway, the New Day win, and they demand a match with the War Raiders that it appears they will get.
Yeah, it sure looks like it. And I think that if they book this in a way that makes sense, then the War Raiders, of course, would win easily.
Right.
But you and I aren't booking it, so who knows what they'll do.
Well, then we had Jimmy Uso versus Gunther in a
Wow,
non-title match.
this was intense.
This was heinous.
This
um,
was this was really like evil Gunther, full force.
Jimmy did get a little bit of offense in, but not much. He did hit an Uso splash. Gunther ends up winning with a choke, and then, of course, kept the chokehold on until Jay ran down. Gunther runs off. Jay helps Jimmy up. Then Gunther pops up from behind and handcuffs with like the plastic like zip cuffs. Zip
Right.
cuffs Jay to the ropes. and
Right.
beats the tar out of Jimmy Uso. I mean,
It was bloody.
Jimmy Jimmy is bleeding and Gunther just boom, boom, one right after another. And I was
Well,
like,
it's interesting going into the WrestleMania match if Gunther wins, if he retains the title, then I don't know what they're going to do with Jey Uso because it seems to me like they're going to have to figure out a way. He has to win this.
he does.
He has to. You know, it's the only thing that makes sense for him. Otherwise, they're just doing all of this punishment of him to bury him down the road.
We then get some putzing around and some backstage segments that didn't really mean much. And then we got the Judgment Day versus Penta and Braun Breaker. Judgment Day win this match, and
Right.
Penta kicks Breaker in the face is kind of the headline here.
Correct.
It would
I think we're
certainly
going to have a
seem,
feud with them for sure.
I would think it's going to be either them at Mania or a three-way with Balor. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it seems to me like I wonder why are they putting those two together as a tag team? It seems very random. Didn't seem to make any sense.
It's the can they coexist bullshit. Anyway,
Right.
we
Right.
then get the worst Raw segment potentially since they moved to Netflix.
You think so?
This was horrible. So AJ comes out, Logan comes out, and these two have no chemistry whatsoever.
Not
None.
really. I don't sense it as much. I mean, they could have a good match, but I wish they'd get on with it instead of talking. I'd rather see them wrestle than talk.
Logan talked about how much money he had, about why he wouldn't fight in London and that the city didn't have enough money for him to fight.
Right.
And then it gets made official that it will be Logan Paul versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. All I can say is why.
Well, I like AJ Styles. I wish they could find a better opponent for him.
You me both. We then get the main event of Monday Night Raw this week, which was Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. These two always have good matches. They had another great match here until the finish.
Right. Don't forget to mention Bianca Belair was for some strange reason, which makes no sense to me. Adam Pearce appointed her as the referee when she, the winner of the match is going to face her. So I don't think that was a good move, but it fits the storyline that they're trying to tell. What I expected is that this situation between the three of them would be resolved and we'd get a three-way match at WrestleMania. I think we will, but why are they taking so god awful long with this?
I have no idea. So the now official WrestleMania card, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, was also confirmed for night one. And of course, the triple threat with Reigns, Rollins, and Punk will be the main event of that show.
Right. That would be the,
Uh,
the first night.
Other announced matches so far, we have AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, Gunther versus Jey Uso, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Man, that feud's on life support. Holy crap, that feud is on life
Boy,
support.
you talk about a crowd not being into it. That really, they're going to have to try to do something to create interest in that because I tell you what, that would be the match where I'd get up and take a bathroom break.
And then what I suspect will be the night two main event. If it's not, I'll be baffled. It's Cody Rhodes versus John Cena.
Oh, that's got to be. I would think it would have to be the main event.
Um,
And the Rock, I'm sure the Rock will be there, and who knows how many other surprise returns we'll have.
Stone Cold probably. So Russ, I have to ask you, what what are they doing with this Tiffany Charlotte thing? Because
I don't know. It's
it
almost as if
feels like
they expected Charlotte Flair to be over right away when she came back.
it's almost like they're waiting for something. like they're waiting for something to happen to actually do something. And it's like, I, I don't know what they're doing. It's almost
Right,
like the only thing I can think of, and this is my legitimate thinking, is this was supposed to be a triple threat between Charlotte, Tiffany, and Becky said no. That's
yeah.
my thinking right now. My
It-
thinking is
He
they
is
tried to
not,
get Becky, and
when
I
you
don't
read the
know
rest
that.
of it, yeah,
I don't know that. I'm guessing
yeah.
that's what it feels like. It feels like there should have been a third person here, and they just had to write her out because
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Becky Lynch, she might come back to wrestle, but it might be a while. She very well could retire. We don't hear anything about her other than the
I,
usual rumors.
I,
I mean, but
I,
she's got a lot going on. I mean, she's a mother and she's a writer, and I think she
doing
has
some
some other
acting stuff.
businesses going on. She's keeping busy, I'm sure.
Well, look, it really does feel like though they really tried to get her back for this, and this was supposed to be something completely different than what it is. And it's just gotten so muddled and screwed up that they're just kind of doing whatever just to kind of push it along
Yeah,
because what else are they going to do?
yeah,
But because they can't just not do the match as much as I'm sure they probably want to not do the match at this point.
yeah. Well, they still have a few weeks. They can try to adjust it.
And maybe they figure this thing out. I don't
It
think they
might.
will.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, you were hearing similar things in the online talk about wrestling. About they were saying the feud between Jey Uso and Gunther is boring and not going anywhere, and they're not excited about this match. Well, I think what happened today is a way in which you can create more interest in a match.
Right.
And
It's going to
I'm
be an
interested in any Gunther match. I mean, him and Drew are my guys, big and mean and nasty.
and I
That's
would
what
assume
I like.
we're going to get and I would assume after the segment on Friday it will be Drew versus Damian at Mania as well.
Oh, that would be a great match because I love both of those guys.
Look, I don't know what they're going to do with Randy Orton post WrestleMania, but they are teasing him versus Cody. That segment Friday
Yes,
is what with
right.
Randy and
Of
Cody
course,
is kind of
there's
what.
always SummerSlam coming up later,
Do you
and
think they're going to do? I think it's going to be Cena Orton at SummerSlam, probably.
that would be good. That would be a good match. Yeah,
I look if Cena wins, I almost guarantee you it's Cena Orton at SummerSlam. They'll get there somehow. Even if Randy loses at Mania, they'll get there. I mean,
well, another reason why it would make sense for Cena to win, other than the stories they could tell, but I mean, Cody's been champion for quite a while now. He's
yeah,
probably due for some time off.
or a move to Raw because Netflix probably just wants him on their show permanently.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting too. The two channels, this European tour, Netflix broadcasts their events live, whereas never USA never does that. I don't think they have ever broadcast the show live in the afternoon. They always play at night,
No, it's
and
so
it's probably
stupid.
always going to be that way.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah,
I think it is so dumb that they do it that way. I think it's the dumbest thing.
I think they get an audience for a live broadcast, and then they could always rerun it later for the primetime crowd if they want to.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do that in the future. Russ, I did watch Stephanie McMahon's new show on ESPN Plus.
I heard about it, haven't seen it. She interviewed
CM
somebody,
Punk.
Punk. Okay, yeah, I heard that was an interesting interview.
It was, but there wasn't enough of it. Does that make any sense? Like it was clearly edited down, and the show itself is only 25 minutes, and they spend the first half of it like hyping up like just returns in general and talking about the history of returns in wrestling and all that. it's well done. Like the show's edited well and it's like produced well, but it it's just missing something, I think. And Stephanie's really good. I mean, Stephanie's a good talker, right? Like
Mhm.
Stephanie can talk, so the show works, but they got to work on the format a little bit. I don't know. I'll be interested to see what they do this week. I guess it's going to be Cody Rhodes on the show this week, so we'll see.
So what channel's that on?
That's on ESPN Plus.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
new
I
streaming
do
service.
get that. So I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I
ESPN Plus. That's we got to get that one because my wife follows all the college basketball, football. Got to have ESPN.
sounds like me.
Yep.
Um, Russ,
Yes,
what was your
sir.
favorite show from the last week? I would think it was tonight's Raw or Dynamite
I would
last
have to
week.
pick Raw. Raw was definitely
I,
very good.
I didn't think SmackDown was particularly great last week.
Yeah, it was okay, but my main complaint with all of the WWE shows is that there's too much talking and not enough wrestling. Whereas it's weird because in AEW, my complaint quite often is that there's not enough angle or storyline going into these matches, so you don't really feel motivated to watch, kind of opposite ends of the spectrum.
Look,
Or maybe
you
I
know,
just like to complain.
well, that's probably part of it for us. We just like to complain. Um, Russ, I got to be honest with you. I've been liking Raw more and more every week. This Netflix thing just makes it so easy.
Yeah, I think the shows have gotten better in general since they moved to Netflix. Yeah,
Uh, Look, I I think SmackDown should have gone to Netflix too. I think the whole thing should have just gone to Netflix. I'd have been happy with
yeah,
that.
that
Whole
wouldn't bother
thing,
me
just
a bit.
the whole thing, just go to Netflix. Just the whole thing, the whole package. NXT, SmackDown,
And
freaking,
the archives.
and the archives. Imagine how much better the archives would be on Netflix. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, yeah,
Because Peacock, like Peacock's really clunky. Like it doesn't always work right.
you are correct.
Now, even now, like all these years later that they've been on Peacock for God knows how many years, it just doesn't always work right.
Right. I
So
understand they've
frustrating.
only got about a year or so left with them.
Yeah, they're not going to renew. They shouldn't renew. In no way, shape, or form should they renew with Peacock. It doesn't make any sense. Netflix can pay them more.
Why? Yeah, yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense.
Now, is it possible they go to like Amazon Prime or something like that? Yes, that is possible. I don't think it's very likely.
I have a question. You speaking about new shows, though. Have you watched the new program that is on Wednesdays on Tubi?
I have heard it's very good.
This is uh, younger wrestlers.
This is Evolve. Yeah. So, a little
Evolve.
backstory on
Yes.
Evolve. A little backstory on Evolve. That was Gabe Sapolsky's promotion. It was
Oh,
an
okay.
independent. It was an independent promotion owned by
Right.
Gabe Sapolsky that WWE bought during the pandemic or right before it because they were going to go under, and
Right.
WWE wanted to hire Gabe Sapolsky. So they bought the company, hired Gabe Sapolsky, and before the pandemic was over, fired him again.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and now they're doing Evolve on Tubi because they
Right.
own it, so they can do whatever they want with that
Right.
product.
Also, well, have you read the speculation on? Well, I think it's speculation at this point, just rumors about the possibility of WWE purchasing TNA. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think Anthem will sell them TNA for a price WWE will deem.
Well, I think that TNA has garnered a lot of interest, and their subscription rate went way up in the last year. So obviously, the people in the marketing department that just got fired last week must have been
Oh
doing
yeah,
some must have been doing something right.
oh yeah, and TNA also fired Gail Kim last week. We
Yes,
can't
they
go with
did.
which I think is the dumbest thing ever.
I think she's one of the best wrestlers in history, in the history of the business. She's really, really good. And
Uh, she'll land on her feet. She's going to WWE probably.
I hope they find a spot for her there. They really do. She was superb. You know, one of my favorite feuds of all time in TNA that got cut way, way short was Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. Those were, at that time in TNA, that was probably the most exciting thing going on in wrestling was Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, in my opinion.
I they absolutely they were main eventing shows with that, and rightfully so. It was the
And
best
then
thing
for
going.
some reason, it they just dropped it.
Well, Dutch Mantel has actually talked about that. So what happened was they were doing that program with Kong and Gail Kim, and then Dutch got let go in 2009
Right.
or 2008 or 2009.
I
Whenever
think
Dutch
he
Mantel,
was gone before Hogan showed up.
right, Dutch gets let go, and the feud just stops dead right
Right.
there.
They really had something going good there, and they should have kept it going.
Because when they let Cornette go, they let Dutch go. They let
That's
Cornette
right.
go because Russo was coming back and Cornette didn't want to work with him, so Cornette got fired.
Correct.
And then
It
they
sounds like it
fired,
was by mutual agreement too. They
and
didn't
then they
want him,
fired,
and he didn't want them.
and then they fired Dutch because Dutch is friends with Cornette, or at least he was, and Vince Russo doesn't like Dutch either, so they had to fire Dutch because bow to the king, Vince Russo apparently, bro, like TNA is a stupid company and has always been a stupid company, but
They make some really weird decisions, don't they?
I think them firing Gail Kim is a massive mistake. Um, I want to make that abundantly clear. I don't think that was a good decision at all. Um, it doesn't help them. Helps their bottom line, maybe, but not really.
Right.
She'll either go to WWE or AEW. She's friends with Madison Rayne, who's in AEW right now. So you could tell me she's going either place, and I'd probably believe you. Hell, you could tell me she's just going to go home and enjoy the rest of her life and never be seen again. And I'd probably be like, okay, that's
Yeah,
respectable. I mean,
sure. But it sounds like she's still interested in working in the business. And I think
yeah,
she's got a lot to contribute.
she's been saying a lot of stuff on social media that would kind of indicate to you she's not done yet. So yeah, she's not going to wrestle again, but like she's going to do something. Um, who knows?
Yep.
I would,
Well, when she was in WWE, that was a time when the female wrestlers were referred to as divas, and they were definitely not taken seriously. And I think what they did in that division was really an insult to quality wrestlers like her. And
and Caitlin,
I would throw in there, serious wrestlers like Molly
Kate,
Holly. They,
Caitlin,
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, what they were doing was way beneath what
AJ
they
Lee.
should have been doing.
Perhaps the biggest victim in all of this victims was Beth Phoenix and AJ Lee.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Two phenomenal. We've seen how good Beth Phoenix is,
yes.
like in more recent years when she's done like mixed tag stuff with Edge or whatever. Like we've seen
She
how
was
good
no
she
go.
is, and she might be going to AEW. Who knows?
Yeah.
Imagine her versus Tony Storm.
Oh, that'd be a good match.
Look,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do
Right.
because I don't know what Gail is gonna do, and I don't know what Beth Phoenix is gonna do, but I hope they go to the same place and I hope they wrestle each other.
Right.
One other note that came out, one other report that came out in the last week, Mariah May's contract is reportedly up this summer.
Really.
Uh,
Well, she'd become a free agent then.
here's my thing. Here's my thinking, and I was talking about this with Devlin last week. I think she re-signs this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a super short-term deal because I think she's going to be a star in WWE. Mariah May is going to be a star in WWE eventually. It's a matter of time. Same with Tony. They're both going to WWE eventually,
Well,
but
she was when she was in NXT a few years ago. Uh, she came and went so fast. Yeah, I mean, if you blinked, you miss her. Tony Storm was. Well, am I thinking right? NXT. I don't remember. She might have had one or two matches on the main roster, but not much.
she was in NXT for actually quite a while. She did a lot on NXT UK.
Okay.
Um,
Was she
I
brought up to the main roster real
very
briefly?
briefly, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of then because it's like a couple of matches and then you never heard from her
like a
again.
blink and you miss it type run. But I think she'll
Yeah,
go back to WWE. I think Mariah May will go to WWE. Britt Baker could go to WWE literally next week, and it really wouldn't surprise me because who the hell knows what's going on there?
right. Well, I wonder who actually owns the gimmick. Is it her gimmick or is that AEW's gimmick, the timeless Tony?
I think that's her gimmick.
Well, I think it's a fun one. I enjoy it.
Imagine the timeless gimmick with WWE's production.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
that's right. Yeah, this they there's nobody in the world of wrestling or even in legitimate sports, I think, that does television production any better than WWE.
They're
They
just so
basically
good.
set the standard, I
They're
think.
so good at it. And
Yeah.
they've been doing it forever. But Russ, that's going to be about it for us this week. Go check out the show. Go check out everything else here on Lock
Yeah.
22.
The show and you're talking about baseball
Yes.
and anything interesting happening there so far, watch the show, then you'll find out by two passionate baseball fans.
Unbelievably, Russ. The Twins are 0-4 and lost 9-0 to the worst team in baseball today. And if you want to hear my thoughts on that,
And
go
who's the
check out
worst team in baseball?
the Chicago White Sox.
Okay. All right.
And if you want to hear my thoughts on that, go check my TikTok that I put out after the game was over
All right.
because I talked for about 3.5 minutes why this team's in shambles and a disaster and probably should just go home.
There you go.
But on that note, ever depressing as it is, we're going to get out of here. Russ, I will see you Sunday.
Yes, Sunday evening.
Folks, thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you next time. Till then, Damon.